Hello guys, you're welcome back to this YouTube channel and thank you for joining me once again. Of course, we have a lot of things to discuss as far as Nigerian politics is concerned for today. But first of all, let's talk about the revelation made by the Niger Republic head of state concerning Ahmed Bola Tinubu's dealings with the French government. You know, when we come out here to tell you that this particular government is a Western puppet, you think that we are all joking. Our government is not even making decisions as a sovereign nation. They allow themselves to be manipulated and to be used by the Westerners. And this has been one of our major problems since time immemorial. I can tell you the truth. Our government is always used to putting the interest of the Western government, which is to exploit our country over the interest of our citizens. Now, the president or the head of state of Niger Republic has actually come out to expose that Ahmed Bola Tinubu has actually collected a substantial amount of money in order to allow the French troop into the northern part of Nigeria. This is the same French government that other African countries are running away from. A French government that is bent on exploiting Africa. This is what Ahmed Bola Tinubu is into as he stands. I'm going to allow you to listen to the Niger Republic head of state, and when we come back, we dissect the video and then move on to the next.
Tinubu Abasu wuri Borno mun tura mutane sun je ba Najeriya suna da iko ba su tura iko aje a yi bincike dajin baga wannan iyaka wannan waje wata hudu na yi babu inda ban sani ba mutane sun yi bincike sun tabbatar da Faransa suna cikin wani wuri da wani tsibiri da aka ce ma kurna yan Niger akwai waɗanda sun kai 2008 mun yi zama tare can wurin sun sani akwai wani da aka ce ma kurna akwai wani wuri da aka ce ma kangarwa akwai wani wuri da aka ce ma dogon cuku akwai wata tsibiri da su turawan da sun ka bata suna Canada sun ka ce mata sun ka yi ɗokakken jihohi wannan na kewaye da baga kasan mungunu in ka tashi da mungunu daga Maiduguri hanya ce zuwa ka je mungunu daga mungunu sai ka je har can baga wannan to bagan nan duk kewaye in ka wuce sai ka je iyaka Chad duk wajen nan sun ɗoki 'yan ƙasa su 'yan Faransa kuma sane da shugabannin Najeriya sun sa su cikin wannan hali babban kamfani sun kai wannan wuri sai sun ka bashi suna Canada suna nan ciki don ku duk sun sani babu wanda bai sani Ghana ban sani ba amma tabbata bisa kai ga tsarin da sun kai daga tsibirin mission de défense za a kai shi détachement de liaison inter-armée kuma waɗancan ƙasashen duk da na gaya ma tabbata ne amma ban cewa bandan Najeriya da Benin sarwa ƙasashe sun sani ba su sani Allahumma alam amma shi dai Allah ba a zalumin sarki ba ne. Najeriya da Benin sun sani waɗancan sun sani ba su sani Allahumma alam amma kaji bayanin da zan iya bada bisa kai ga wannan sabon tsarin da sun ka hito da shi wanda shi ma.
So guys, I believe you listened to what the head of state of Niger Republic has actually said. Now, for those of us who don't understand the language he spoke in, he actually said that Ahmed Bola Tinubu has collected a substantial amount of money from the French government in order to allow them to set up their military base in the northern part of Nigeria, precisely in Borno state. And of course, we all know the implication of this. Exploitation, exploiting our country, our natural resources. That is what they have come to do. So guys, moving on from there, let's talk about what is actually going on in Kwara State, Ilorin, where there is a serious clash between the Muslims and the Christians because the Muslim faithfuls there decided to remove all the Happy Christmas billboard installed by their governor. You know, it baffles me that people can actually behave like this in a country where everybody has freedom of worship. That people can go as far as removing billboard, you know, installed by their governor, wishing Christians a Merry Christmas. It's surprising to see that some Muslims in Kwara State, Ilorin precisely, went all around the city to remove all the billboard installed by their governor, wishing Christians a Merry Christmas. And this shows you the damage that religion has actually caused in Africa. I'm telling you the truth. You know, recently they started talking about bringing in Sharia law or Sharia court into the southwestern part of Nigeria, being the Yoruba land, which I made a video on that, and of course that has become a topic of discussion because Yoruba land is not a Sharia state. Look at the level of wickedness that is actually happening now in Kwara State, even now that the Sharia law is not even fully instituted in that particular state. Now think about what will happen when this particular Sharia law is fully instituted in that state. And this goes a long way to show the level of damage that is caused by some of these our religious leaders and some of our politicians who leverages on these religious differences to cause divisions among Nigerians, so that they will be able to achieve their ulterior motive, which is state capture. I can tell you the truth. I have said this severally in this particular channel, that if this particular country must move on, if this particular country must wake up to realize that our politicians are using us, that our politicians are exploiting us, then they must put religious division and religious sentiment aside to face the reality. Things like this are not supposed to be happening in their country. Christians and Muslims are supposed to cohabit, or coexist without any problem. And of course, it is right for the governor to, wish the Christians a Merry Christmas. Of course, when it's the time of the Muslims to celebrate their own, I'm sure that the governor will also do the same. So going around the state to pull down all the billboard, installed by the government to wish the Christians a Happy Christmas is really, really bad. It shows that some of these religious leaders are not even doing what they are supposed to do. They are not giving their followers the right information. Now, moving on from that, let me show you the level of hunger and poverty in this particular country has gone to another level since Ahmed Bola Tinubu took over. It has never been this like this before in Nigeria. In fact, people are now saying that this is the worst government that we have ever seen. Look at this mammoth crowd that has gathered at Ahmed Bola Tinubu's residence just to, collect Christmas bread or rice or whatever. This goes a long way to show you that Nigerians are hungry and they are desperately in search of what to eat. And this is the same reason we had several stampede incidents here in Nigeria recently. During Ahmed Bola Tinubu's recent media chat, when he was praising himself that he has performed excellently well. And Nigerians are now asking, if you have performed excellently well, why is it that there are so much hunger in the land? As you can see displayed on my screen, this is people actually gathered at Ahmed Bola Tinubu's residence. They came to beg. They came to beg for food, probably for bread or for rice or whatever thing that they came there for. Well, guys, I'm going to allow you to listen to the popular journalist at News Central TV as he analyzes the whole incident and, of course, shares his opinion on this particular issue, and then we'll wrap up the video.
I think I want to start the conversation this morning by speaking on something that has become, public conversation across Nigeria, and it is the dozens, maybe hundreds, maybe even thousands of people that you might see if you drive across Bodilon this morning in Lagos, or anytime today. There's the street in Ikoyi called Bodilon, where Mr. President's residence is. If you drive across that street, you will come across a long, extensive line of people not waiting, in line for, job applications, not waiting for their visas to be approved, but waiting at Mr. President's gate for possible handouts that would be given to them. Yes, this is a clip from someone who drove by Bodilon yesterday or a couple of days ago. There's multiple videos of people who have passed it. None of these people here are waiting, in line for a job application or for a job interview. None of these, and that would even be scary, even if that was the case. None of these people here is waiting for any other thing. They're not waiting in line at a supermarket to, do their Christmas shopping. They're not waiting for any other reason that you might see, or maybe at a stadium to get into the stadium to watch their favorite team play. They're waiting at Mr. President's gate for handouts. And you see this video showing both the young, the old, men, women, all, ages and all sexes at Mr. President's gate waiting for handout. This is the very likely current picture that you might see if you pass by Bodilon this morning. Now, it's nothing new, right? This is not new. It is just worrisome because this is the President's gate. And I'm starting because I want to know, I struggle to imagine what Mr. President thinks when he looks outside his window or looks outside his apartment and sees that number of people waiting for handouts. What does that say to Mr. President? What does it represent, in Mr. President's heart? Is it worrisome or is it normal? To be honest, for a lot of people, it's normal. This has always been, regular culture. Even before Mr. President, got into Aso Rock, while he was governor, after he became governor, it's been normal. And It's not the only place. To be fair, it's not the only place that this happens. In northern Nigeria, it's also regular culture for top political figures, politicians, governors and the likes. In the southeast, if you go to, I think I've seen it at, Author Eze's Gate in Enugu State, you would see pretty much the same thing. Maybe not as, with this number of people, but you would see a, crowd also gathering and waiting for handouts. But I believe that it should disturb Mr. President. When he steps out of his house, if for any reason he has to drive out of his house, it should disturb Mr. President, because this is a proper representation, not of, people who really just like handouts, but a proper representation of the level of poverty and hunger that currently exists in Lagos State, the state that produces the most amount of money, or that makes the most amount of money every year, generates the highest amount of money every year. That is a proper representation of the level of poverty that has struck Nigerians and, of course, in Lagos State.